So just like on TV, the magic of video, we have our color wheel. Okay, you can call it a color wheel, a color web. I can label it color wheel up here. And you can see my different colors that go all the way around the outside. Those are primary, our secondary, green, orange, and purple, and our intermediate colors, red, orange, yellow, green, violet, blue, violet, and red, violet. Okay, and then as we get towards the middle, they get a little bit lighter in value as you go around. So that is your basics for color. Okay, we can talk about the differences in colors. If you have opposites on the color wheel, okay, so yellow and purple, those are what we call complementary colors. Okay, same thing with red and green. You might be thinking about, gosh, there's some things that remind me of that. Okay, red and green, what do we think of? Christmas, maybe? All right. Red and green was used by advertisers back in the early 50s, mainly because they contrasted so greatly that it was really easy to read the different signs that had red and green celebrating or advertising Christmas products. Yellow and purple, one of the best basketball teams around, if you ask me. The LA Lakers, all right, they are yellow and purple. And the reason why they are yellow and purple is because of the high contrast between the two colors. You have those yellow jerseys, okay, if they're at home, with the purple numbers. That way you can read LeBron James' number and name when you're sitting up in those nosebleed seats, which are the only ones I can afford at Staples Center if I was ever to go to a game. But that's another story. Many of the other college teams, Cal State Fullerton, go Titans, they are orange and blue, two opposites on the color wheel. They are the highest contrasting colors, and that's where we get complementary colors. Okay. Another color scheme that we have is what we call analogous, and that's 3 or possibly as many as 4 colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. They kind of all group together. So your yellow, green, and blue-green, they're all kind of in the same family, okay? And so if we use those colors only, we can use them as a color scheme, and it all looks like it belongs, creates a sense of unity, all right? And then you also have monochromatic, which is what we have in each one of our little triangles here. And that's one color and using different values of those colors. If you've ever seen Dutch hot plates, I think they're called trivets. They are very famous for using blue glazes, and they'll use different washes and different layers, and however many layers of blue, it becomes darker. So if you use 5 layers of blue, it's a darker color, and lighter becomes lighter. You've heard of Pablo Picasso and his blue period. He also had a rose period, but the blue period is what he's most known for, and he used monochromatic color of blue. During the rose period, he used red, and so they just called it rose because he kind of had a rosy tint to it. All right. So those are a few of the color schemes. You can have complementary, you can have analogous, okay? You can also have monochromatic, and the final one, the fourth one that I forgot to mention, is what we call triadic. Triadic is 3 colors that are evenly spaced on the color wheel. So red, yellow, and blue. Yes, they're the primary colors, but they're evenly spaced also. So what that does is that gives us 3 colors that are evenly spaced, and when we put those together, they look very similar, and they kind of go along together. It's kind of a weird thing, more of a tone. If you've ever seen baby toys, a lot of times they are in the triadic color scheme, red, yellow, and blue, mainly because it's easy for young developing eyes to recognize bold colors, which is more bold than the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. Not as popular, but I have seen it done. You can use orange, green, and purple. Okay, and if you wanted to, you could use yellow, orange, blue, green, and red, violet. Okay, those are 3 that are also spaced equally apart. All right. So triadic is 1, 2, 3 evenly spaced apart. Monochromatic is all one color. Excuse me. Complementary is your opposites on the color wheel, and then your analogous is usually 3, maybe 4, but usually 3 colors that are right on either side. The last thing we're going to talk about when we talk about color theory is warm versus cool. Okay, so the warm colors usually go from red to yellow-green. So these up here are what we call warm colors, all right? Reds, oranges, and yellows. What does it remind us of? Anybody ever been camping? Roasted marshmallows, you look at the fire, okay? Reds and yellows and oranges are usually what we see in there. The yellow-green, it starts to get on the cool side, but we're not going to split hairs over that one. The cool colors are your red-violet, violet, blue-violet, blue, blue-green, green, and you might throw yellow-green in there depending on the tone of it. But what do we think of when we see these colors? Okay, the blues, the blue-violets kind of look like the ocean. Okay, greens maybe reminds us of the cool grass on a summer day, those kinds of things. And so what we do is we play with the ideas of the colors of what it invokes in our memories, all right? The green grass usually is cool when we lay down in it on a hot day. The blue of water is always cool and refreshing. Okay, the violets and the blue violets kind of remind us of a night sky, so that it's getting us to that mindset of something that is in the evening and the day is starting to cool off and that sort of thing. Okay, just like with the reds and the oranges, this is going to think of something warmer. You know, reds is like a red hot coal, or looking at the sun is that bright yellow orb in the sky. You know, those are all things. And fire, and maybe a field of wheat, you know, that's been dried out or something like that. It gets into these yellows and oranges and that sort of thing. So that's how we use color to kind of invoke an emotional response. Color is one of the first elements of design that we react to first, because we have an emotional response as well as a visual response to all of these colors in one way or another. Whether they be warm colors, whether they be cool colors, okay, whether they be complementary, okay. When you put these two colors next to each other, they almost vibrate. There's so much contrast between the two. The red and the green, and the blue and the orange, and those sort of things. All right, so that's the color wheel. Please make sure that you take a picture and turn that in the appropriate box. I'll have that in the directions below, and we'll see you guys in the next one.